So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me and thanks for giving me a get out of jail free card to start the webinar. We have a really exciting webinar here working on talking about Closeout with Buildr. So pretty excited about this one. Caleb, you can go into jump to the next slide.
Yeah.
All right, so we have our main host and star of the show here is going to be Caleb Taylor. He's a co-founder and closeout guru for Buildr. And he's going to be talking about the problems that you may experience during closeout, why improving your closeout process really matters, how to take your closeout process to the next level, and then lastly, some tips and tricks to help your closeout process. If you can leave this webinar learning a little bit, then we're going to be happy.
Yeah, I always want to at least improve your life by 2% if we can. That's my goal. It's 2% is the goal. Hopefully it's more, but that's the goal.
Yeah. Okay, and before we jump in, I did want to mention that we LevelSet just released our 2020 Q3 construction payment report. Why is this important? We survey a lot of construction companies like you, and we all know that payment can be cumbersome and can be an issue. And a lot of that may be due to closeout. But reading through the report, you may pick up on some additional tidbits. So if Caleb's going to help you out 2%, maybe this can add another 2%. So make sure to take a look. And as you see bolded on the bottom, 71% of contractors say they spend up to 5 hours every week chasing down late payments. So as Caleb's going to jump into, these late payments and chasing down payments can really help you, can really make it difficult to close out a project. So I feel like this can be a good resource for you to look through after you learn all that Caleb has to share. So Caleb, over to you. Thanks for taking the time to put on the presentation.
Yeah, awesome. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, LevelSet, for inviting me. Closeout's definitely something that we're pretty passionate about here at Buildr. Spend a ton of time working on all different types of closeouts with our customers, from billion-dollar jobs to small TIs. And we found a bunch of cool information and tips and tricks along the way over the last few years that we'd love to be able to share with you. And I want to start just by telling you who the heck we are, what Buildr does. So we're a post-construction platform that hyper-focuses on the closeout process. So a lot of us actually have been in construction tech for many, many years, came from Procore. A lot of us did, at least. And so we have seen a lot of amazing project management tools out there and software available, but we saw this huge void, this hole, when it came to post-construction. And we noticed that closeout is a fairly painful process. And so we wanted to help automate that as much as we could. And we did the same for the warranty management phase, which comes right after the closeout phase, obviously. And then we set up the owners or the facility managers to manage this building successfully with easy access to everything that they need when it comes to information about their building. So that's just a quick recap of who we are. So for this,
hey Caleb, real quick before you jump in, I did forget to invite everyone in the audience. If you have questions or comments at any point in time, at the bottom of your screen you'll see both the chat box and the Q&A. I'll be monitoring that through Caleb's presentation, and so if you have a question on what he's talking about at the moment, pop those questions in there and we'll jump in and have him answer those as we go.
Yep, perfect. I'm glad you clarified that. So as you guys know, as you signed up for this, we want to talk about closeout. We want to help make sure we can get that retainage money sooner, get paid quicker as fast as possible. But this specific topic is around closeout and how that's really a hurdle to getting paid. That's the last hurdle we have to jump over. So before we dive into this, let's just define and make sure we're all on the same page for what is closeout. It might sound obvious to a lot of us, but that's that last phase of the project lifecycle, right? It's where we need to spend a lot of time collecting documents, organizing documents, asking for trade partners from the documents, putting them all together and giving them to the client, right? It's that last step before we can get paid for the work we've already done. And it's crucial if we're thinking about how can we get paid faster. Well, if we can do closeout faster, that'll make a big impact. And I think that I would be remiss to ignore the fact that if I'm defining closeout, if I left out the part that I think it's everyone's least favorite part of construction, at least everybody I've talked to, I have yet to speak with any project team member that's like, oh, That is what gets me out of bed in the morning, is thinking, man, I get to focus on closeout today. I get to email trade partners, download documents, rename them, print out binders. Most people hate that. So that all of that kind of goes into this definition of closeout that we're talking about today. So if people hate closeout, why is it so painful? What makes this process something that people dread typically? Well, first, it's usually an afterthought, right? We put so much energy into our trade, into our work, into our building. We take pride in that, and we put a lot of energy and planning into that. And then once we near substantial completion or get to substantial completion, we don't think about closeout at all. It's something that we throw on the back burner. We don't prioritize. And typically we even make the person in charge of building the closeout package one of the newer team members. They often have less construction experience than everybody else. And typically that person is also already assigned to a new project. So it's not their top priority either. They're on another job, full day's work. And then at the end of the day, they have to start collecting documents, renaming documents, organizing, emailing people. And so it's something that we just don't prioritize. And that whole process of actually, when I'm done with my full-time job during the day of building the package, takes so much time. I feel like if you guys could, speak to me, you weren't muted, then I'd hear some amens probably, but it's painful. You have so much tedious work to do to actually build this whole package. And it's typically pretty painful process. And that doesn't even take into account really the fact that a lot of you guys have to build physical binders still. So I wanted this to just pop up here on the screen and really we can feel its presence. Very painful. This takes so much time, costs thousands of dollars for a lot of project teams. And it's the old school way of doing things, but a lot of your clients probably still require physical binders. And I always try to encourage project team members not to have this question creep into your head, but sometimes that question comes to your head, which is, will anyone ever actually look at this? That's like my first tip and trick, which is like, don't think about that. That's terrible because you think I'm handing them a binder that goes in a closet that nobody looks at. It's because that way of finding the information in a binder is so outdated, it's often not used. And that thought can be discouraging. So that's why closeout is so painful right now. And that's what we're kind of going to be discussing. So now that we know, and we have defined the same, definition here of what a closeout is, and we know it's painful, is it even worth talking about trying to improve it? Like, if we've been doing this for so long, it's worked up till now, why care about and invest time and energy into improving our closeout process? Does it even matter? Well, if you do invest time into it, there's two big things that can happen for us. One is we can close out projects faster than ever before. And two, we can make our closeout process better than ever before. So what happens when we do those two things? First is obvious, right? We can get paid faster if we close out faster. Again, it's that last hurdle that's keeping us from getting paid for the work that we're actually doing. And this is one of the big things that LevelSet helps you with all the time, right? We want to help get you that money that you're owed as fast as we possibly can. If we can do close out faster, that makes a big difference. I actually have customers that said with Buildr, they were able to close out all their projects at least a week sooner than ever before. And that radically changed their business. They could do one more project a year. So what could your company do? What kind of impact would this have if you were able to close out faster than ever before? But that's just faster, right? What if we didn't just do the status quo faster than ever? What if we actually raised it to the next level and did close out better than we've ever done before? The biggest impact that we see from this is significantly improved relationships between trade partners and general contractors and their clients and the owners. So this is actually, closeout phase is actually an opportunity to increase repeat business. It's a chance to wow your customers and over deliver for them. Again, you spend so much time on your craft, in your trade, on this building, and you take pride in it. But the last touch point is this closeout phase. And if you don't do this well, it leaves bad taste in your client's mouth from working with you. But if you over deliver, it's the last thing that they remember. It's their last memory of working with you on this project. The AGC FMI report actually said that revenue from repeat business is the most noticeable point of differentiation between profitable firms and less successful peers. This is huge, and it's more important now than ever. And that's what we've seen and been told by our customers. During COVID, we might be recognizing that it's harder than ever to win new business, but any customer you have right now is an opportunity for a repeat customer. And if we over deliver, we set ourselves apart. Okay, so that's why it's important to actually care about closeout. So how can we improve our closeout process? The first thing that's so important is to actually have these thought out, standardized processes before the end of the job. Your company should have a clear way of doing all closeouts, doing all handovers to their clients. Without these processes, we typically are leaving the least experienced person on the project sometimes with the task of building this whole thing and giving something to the client that they'll judge our partnership off of. I even had, I have a large GC customer in Texas that talked about the importance of these standard processes. And they had a story of something that happened where he had an individual spending weeks building the whole turnover package. He built it all on his computer like most people do, folders and files, put it on thumb drives, handed it to the client. A few months later, that client came back. They were looking to sell the building and they needed another copy of the whole turnover package because they'd lost their flash drives. And that computer had been wiped. And there was no standard process in place for where to save the documents, where to save that final package, because it's something that we just don't prioritize as companies typically. That's kind of one of those horror stories that stays with me, that he was like, it's so nice that we can keep all these here and we can always come back and download them. Next is we need to have this bird's eye view of this whole closeout package process. It typically just lives on one individual's computer, on their spreadsheets and in their email that nobody else has access to. We don't know exactly which documents we're waiting on. We don't know which trade partners still haven't sent us this warranty or O&M manual, or we don't know exactly what the owner's looking for as far as their closeout requirements go. It's all just knowledge in one person's head and on one person's computer. We need access to have this bird's eye view on where we are. And that, if we have that, that increases collaboration, which again, now with this new COVID world, we're more disjointed than ever, is so vital. If we can have feedback and communication and collaboration with all project team members, we increase our chances to actually speed up this closeout process. If everyone is aware of which people we're waiting on and which documents we're waiting on, if everyone's aware when a new document's submitted, they can all weigh in on if that's the correct one and collaborate on it. That makes a massive difference instead of one person emailing all these different people. The other tip and trick here is that we have to start as early as we can. I feel like I hear all the time customers say, yes, closeout should be started at the beginning. And then they'll typically laugh. They'll be like, ha, that never happens. We wish it did. We want it to. It never happens. With a standardized process that's clearly defined, a plan of attack for your company, then you can say, hey, when we're setting up these submittal logs, we include closeout submittals every time. We make sure that these items are clearly communicated to our trade partners very early on. If we start early, it makes a huge difference. That's the only way we can end early or on time. And a part of starting early is clearly identifying these handover requirements from the client. It needs to be very clearly defined from the beginning. Yes, we'll go through the specs, but typically you want to clarify that with the team member. If you leave that till the end, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because you're hoping at the end, after you've been assigned to a new project, that you can then get everything clarified by the owner, collect it all, and organize it all. And it takes a crazy long time. And then the last kind of tip and trick here is start thinking about how you can over deliver. Take it a step further. Don't just turn over these binders. Don't just turn over these folders and files. A lot of times they might still require those linked folders and files, right? But ask yourself, what can our company do that will set us apart during this kind of unknown time period with COVID, that sets us apart from our competition during the closeout phase? I have some customers that actually, even before using Buildr or anything, would go out and purchase an iPad. for a couple $100. You go out and buy an iPad and load it up with all of the documentation to hand to the client and the facility team members. That was a wow factor for them. They could now pull up and search any document they needed right there, and it costs you a couple $100. A lot of times things like that make a big, big difference for wowing your customers. So I've also just kind of highlighted and briefly mentioned things that Buildr does, but I wanted to just clearly lay out what it is that our tool actually does when it comes to the closeout process here. So first thing is, we're going to help you move here into the 21st century when it comes to the closeout phase. We won't need any more Excel spreadsheets, no more bulky binders, and we're going to save at least 140 hours during the closeout phase, which is crazy. And on bigger jobs, it's actually a whole lot more. But we're going to help automatically email all the trade partners that you might need to collect documents from. We're going to automatically organize the whole package with one click, with hyperlinks and table of contents. Everything's organized with one magic button. And then we're going to allow for that insight and transparency company-wide on where we are with each progress. We're going to track all of our different closeout packages that are being built. We'll get notifications on when we're nearing substantial completion, everything like that. And then we're going to make sure that the experience for each individual persona interacting with Buildr is unique and specialized to them. So the owner has their own portal for Buildr designed for them. GC would have their own portal designed for them. A subcontractor has their own portal. Like for trade partners, we don't want you to have to remember another password, another username to log into a new software. We've actually streamlined it to make it crazy easy. And that's one of the reasons why trade partners are such big fans of Buildr, because it makes their life easier than ever before to know exactly what's owed, how to get it to them, and do it quickly. And then we're going to make sure that that final deliverable that you give to the owner at the end is as impressive as possible. So no more binders, but now we have linked folders and files that have hyperlinks that are all local, that can be put on a flash drive with a cover sheet that makes it easy to find everything with bookmarks automatically created. We also allow you to make sure that the client and facility teams can access all the information from a mobile app, not just one iPad, but any mobile app that they're using, their phone or tablet. They have access to all of the documents right there for them, which is really nice. And then they also have their own web app to search all the closeout documents. So they can save it to their server, those folders and files. They can access it with the mobile app and with the web app. So that's what Buildr does. And so what we've talked about today was, one, why is closeout painful? What makes it so painful? Two, why is it worth investing in? And then three, we gave you some tips and tricks as far as, actually starting early, how to start these processes. But I want to give you a few actual resources. So we have a totally free closeout checklist and template that anybody can download and use. That's really helpful when you're thinking about starting to really define these closeout processes for your company. So I want to give that to you for free. We also have this free drawings hyperlink tool. So you guys might spend time actually recreating hyperlinks in Bluebeam. A lot of our customers do on drawings, so that when you hand them that flash drive, they can open an as build, click on an RFI, and it just pulls it up right there for them. We have a tool that does that automatically. Like, it literally creates all these deep hyperlinks for you and saves actually hundreds of hours for anybody that's doing that. We're giving you that as well for free. So we want that to be just an added resource that we can provide for you. And then the biggest giveaway that we're really excited about with our partnership with Levelset is we are willing to extend a free trial to anyone that's watching right now. We want you to be able to test Buildr out if you want to try it, and just see how it fits your company and fits your workflow. You've heard me talk about Buildr and talk about closeouts, but why not test it out and give it to your team to try? So thanks to our partnership with Levelset, we wanted to be able to give you guys those three things. And then we've got a blog that has other tips and tricks for closeout process as well that you can feel free to check out. But yeah, that's really what we wanted to provide you. And Michael, do you want to touch on these last two here?
Yeah, as I mentioned at the start, if you want to access our construction payment surveys and take for some takeaways, you can go to levelset.com/surveys. And then looping in an issue of closing out a project, we all know retainage can be an issue. And so we have a lot of free documents and a lot of free resources to educate you on different aspects of tackling retainage effectively. And you can visit that going to levelset.com/retainage. And Caleb, we have a few questions from the audience if you want to go ahead and jump into those.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do some questions.
Yeah, and I'd like to invite everyone else, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to type those in the Q&A box or the chat box, and we'll get to those. So the first question for you, Caleb, who are your major target customers? GCs, subcontractors, suppliers? Who is Buildr best for?
Yeah, that's a good question. Majority of our customers are general contractors or owners that mandate that their general contractors use this. But we actually have subcontractors that have subs themselves, where this saves a ton of time when they're collecting their own documents. And then because of how easy it is for subs and trade partners to use and the clarity it provides during this phase, we've seen a lot of them actually just introduce us to their GCs. Their GCs end up purchasing it so that the subs never have to buy it themselves, but then benefit from it. So we have subs, thousands of subs in our system using it every day, but they're using an account that was purchased by a GC typically.
Sure. Does it integrate with CoreCon?
It does not integrate directly with CoreCon. We've got the biggest or deepest integration we have is with Procore. So for anyone using project management tool Procore, we have really impressive integrations with that, but it works with a bunch of different platforms, but we don't have a direct integration with that.
Sure. Got another good question here. Is Buildr sold per workstation or per user? The question and the context behind that is we have someone who's about to start a new job in South Florida, and they really want to address efficiency and some procedural issues that they kind of are anticipating for this new project. So would they be able to get one Buildr account for their entire company, or how does that subscription service work for a multi-user organization?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we typically will set up an agreement with a business unit or a company as a whole, but we can do subscriptions as small as one project. So if you said, hey, I've got one in mind, I know I can pay for it out of my budget and I can convince corporate to do this because we have the funds, we can start a subscription just for that one project if you like. We never charge per user. We feel like that contradicts the collaboration that we're trying to add. So you don't have to worry about how many trade partners are jumping in here, how many team members, how many owners. It's unlimited users for any kind of Buildr usage.
Okay. And then another question. Let me see. I lost my question box.
No problem.
Okay. Sorry, I had too many windows open. So you mentioned the 140 hours saved. What is the biggest time saver that Buildr provides? So if you had to identify one aspect of what you provide that saves the bulk of that 140 hours, what would that one thing be?
Yeah, that's a good question too. Typically, automatically following up with trade partners and getting automatic emails and notifications is really helpful to collect everything. But the biggest time saver is once you've got everything into the Buildr system, when you just click that export button, I always call it the magic green button. It's like life-changing because it literally creates the whole turnover package. Bookmarks, links, folders and files, one PDF with a picture of your project. That one click saves so much time. And I'd say that's probably the biggest time saver is just that final export where you don't need to reorganize folders and files, download everything, rename stuff. We handle all of that. And so that's probably the biggest time saver that our customers experience using Buildr. Sure.
Thanks. And we have another question, and from Luke, the person posing this question. If I think I understand what they're asking, but Luke, feel free to jump in if I don't ask your question correctly. Is there a rough ROI that's been quantified by your customers on their projects of the amount of the return that they get from using Buildr? Man, it's hard to put one number on it. So the number that we keep
touching is the 140 hours saved, because that's what we've seen is a minimum that's based off of like a 10 million, $8 million job. And then the time savings for something larger is obviously much bigger. The problem with just the ROI as a whole for Buildr and putting that in one metric is the reason so many people actually invest in Buildr isn't actually the time saving. That's like what draws them to Buildr initially, but it's the ability to over deliver for their customers. That's why we've actually seen more growth as a company this summer than ever before, is because people are saying, I have to reinvest in my existing customer base to increase repeat business. And so while I don't have a specific metric on the ROI, I can tell you that's what's going through the minds of our customers when they're using Buildr, is they're saying, now we're able to provide web access to all of their closeout documents to our owner. And they love that for every building they do with us. And it's one more thing that makes them come back to that GC, because they know all of my documents are here online, as well as saved on my server and everything. But to have them all online, easily accessible to all their team members is a huge over delivery for them. So I think that's probably the biggest impact when it comes to that return on investment, is that repeat business.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense, especially given what everything going on right now. We have another question, a good one, I think. So many of our clients will not allow us to send any links or digital links to them. Their IT departments are very strict. How do you address this issue?
Yep, we hear that all the time when we work with some of these larger GCs. So first off, when you create the package in Buildr, you would be emailed a zip file. And when you unzip that zip file, you put that on a flash drive and you hand that to the client. So that first thing that they're getting, that kind of bare minimum base, is a perfectly organized folder structure, table of contents, cover sheet with hyperlinks that they can put on their server and have forever. We also, just side note, we never delete data. So even if customers come back 3 years later and say, hey, can you re-export that? We always have it all and can always redo that export. But that's the first answer to that question, is you don't have to deliver it by sending them a link. Even our web app, which allows them to access everything online, is done through an email introduction, and it's a personal connection. So it's done when our GCs say to their client, hey, we have purchased a service called Buildr so that you, owner, you don't have to pay for this. But they are now going to create an account for you that the owner has the ability to add any users they want. But it's not just one link that's emailed to them. They would create a username and password and have access to their own Buildr account that's provided by you as the contractor. Our goal is to make the contractor the superstar, the rock star that adds all the value. So those are two ways we've seen around it, because you're not just emailing them some link that they have to download. Put it on a flash drive, they save it to their server, and then we set them up with their own account with Buildr.
Great. I actually have a question myself. So
Yeah.
I'll put it in context of Levelset. So Levelset helps contractors get paid. And a lot of our customers and a lot of our users come to us through a pain project in the past where they've either not been paid or they've experienced really slow payment. So they come to Levelset to say, hey, I don't want to experience this again. What can you do to help? So taking that example, what is the equivalent for Buildr? What are some telltale signs of someone experiencing something in the closeout process, certain pains or certain frustrations that you would go to them and say, hey, this is exactly what we exist for. This is something we can help. So for our listeners on the call, what are some things that they may be experiencing now that would be good indications that you can help them?
Yeah, that's great. The first is just, if you have one person at your company or a couple that do closeouts, check to see how they're feeling. Typically it's somewhat overwhelmed and stressed out and feeling like they have so many different projects they need to close out. And so to have a dashboard that shows them all of their projects, the statuses of all of them, simple to-do list items that remind them, hey, this document needs your approval. You need to ask this sub again, or we'll send out an automatic notification to the subcontractor. That's one pain point that people come to all the time, is it's just so time consuming. And a lot of people actually find they can have one person do more closeouts than ever before using Buildr, which is nice. But also when we think about some of these big projects, like we had Mortensen come to us because they had a project that had 45,000 inspections and 32,000 observations that all had photos as attachments, and they couldn't get it out of their project management tool. And so they actually came to Buildr. We were able to connect to it and automate all this. They estimated it would take 3 weeks, and we were able to do it in a couple hours. And so through this process of automatically building the turnover package, folders and files, linked PDFs, any big projects like that that feel overwhelmed are a really, it's a really big help for, or even just people that say, we don't have any kind of standard process for closeout. I don't even know how our team members are doing closeout because it varies from person to person. If you feel that way, then Buildr provides this structure so that you can ensure that your clients always receive the same high quality experience when they work with you.
Awesome. Got another question from the audience. How's your pricing structured? For context, the person asking is a small earthwork sub with an average project size of $2 million. So if they were just looking to use you guys for one project, what would that look like? And then for all of their projects, how would that pricing differ based on a project or a full subscription?
Yeah, that's great. So it varies from project size, right? So $1 billion project is obviously going to be more than a $2 million project, and it's just a sliding scale. But we typically do it based off of annualized construction volume if your company wants to purchase an annual subscription. So if you said, hey, after our free trial, let's start with these 2 projects, we would give you a quote for what those 2 projects of $4 million would be, and then you could scale it up if you wanted and add other projects in the future. But it's all just like a sliding scale as far as how big those projects are, because we don't care about the number of users or anything like that. It's just the $1 million project is going to be less than the 1 billion.
Great. Well, that covers all of our audience questions. We'll give another minute or so just to see if anyone has any other questions. If any of the attendees have any more questions, go ahead and type those in the question box. And if not, then we can wrap things up. So maybe I missed it when I was looking through a question, but Caleb, what's the next step if someone wants to utilize the free trial? How do they contact you, or what's the necessary next step to utilize that free trial?
Yeah, great question. So we're going to be emailing everybody so that you can email back and you can say, raise your hand, hey, I would like to try this out, or I would just want to try this drawing hyperlinks tool or this checklist. Can I download that? Just let us know. We always want to be able to add value first and up front. So we're going to email everybody. And that makes it really easy. Reply to the email if you're interested. In the meantime, too, you can go to our website and fill out a form. If you just mention that you were on this webinar, then we'll make sure that we honor all the giveaways here. So that's buildrtech.com. Obviously, Buildr has no E because we're a tech company, so we have to misspell it. That's like a requirement. So buildrtech.com is where you can fill out a form, too. And you can check out a lot more information on our site if you want.
Great. All right. Well, looks like we don't have any more questions from the audience. Caleb, I really appreciate your time. I took a lot away from this, as I'm sure everyone else did. Looking forward to seeing, everyone utilize the free trial and improve their closeout.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Level Set team. This was fun to be a part of, and hopefully this was valuable to you guys. If you want any of those free resources, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll be happy to give them to you.
Yeah, and I think on the next slide, it has both of our email addresses if we want to jump to that.
We had one more. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all right. I just wanted to mention that. So
yes,
if they can contact you, and then if you guys have any questions in regards to Level Set and in ways we can help you guys get paid faster on your projects, then don't hesitate to email me as well.
Absolutely. I love it.
Thanks, everyone, for attending. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And Caleb, thanks again. This was great.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Talk to you guys later. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.